Welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue look at what's under the roof today. Okay, yesterday we talked about wide, and today we talked about the antonym of wide, narrow. And Chinese express narrow not exactly by the roof or the cover with the chimney. Here, with this two extra dot, in many other Chinese characters, that means cave, because these extra two dots are supposed to serve as the ventilation pipe. Imagine it's caveman age that we need some airflow inside that cave to not to kill ourselves, right? With CO1, monocarbon. So this ventilation was important, and that's a feature of cave living. However, if you look deeper to that, character's origin story, it shows more than cave. Maybe here it's something else. So this is narrow as in English. And okay, just an interesting observation. English wide, 4 characters. And narrow is actually 6 characters. So visually, narrow looks wider than wide. Okay, just saying. So Chinese make the sense of narrow with something actually looks different than the cave imagery. This character pronounced as 泽. I don't use it in my everyday language anymore because it was not part of our contemporary living settings. It was originally used to describe bamboo. As you can see here are the bamboo symbols. So normally we have a grass that's upward pointing versus bamboo as the only plant that leaves goes down, like a downward pointing. So because bamboos often grew in clusters, that's why we have 2 of them, means more than one. And this bamboo paired with 炸. At the bottom is 炸. And over here, scholars have different interpretations, and I stick with Xu dictionaries. This dictionary compiler have seen multitudes of characters, and so he tried to create cohesive stories as to what this imagery is about. Okay, this looks like a frontal view of human figure. Over here is a little bit tenuous. It's not. We have a formal human figure that's a profile view of front and the backside of a human. Over here is a frontal view. So I guess in ancient times expressing humans, we could see humans from both front and side views. Interestingly, not much about a back view, but I guess front and side are the 2 perspectives to describe a human. And then this symbol, kind of left corner and downward pointing, was describing the pathway, the escape. Okay, here is a little bit more interpretation about my understanding of Chinese, which is a leftward facing or forward universe, let's say. That's the framework when Chinese uses 2D frame to describe the world as default by turning toward the left. That means a forward walking, moving forward, marching ahead. Versus here, if you see here pointing toward the right and downward, that gives you the sense of it's moving toward the right direction. That means retreating. It's not forward going, it's backward retreating. So the scene, the context would be this person try to escape, instead of going forward, it's trying to get lost, not to be found, not going to the direction it's supposed to go, which is leftward going, right? So with that alone, that means somebody who escapes, or if it's permanently escaped, nobody found that person anymore. That means this person is dead, like according to the society point of view, this person is gone. We lost it, him or her, then it's death eventually. Now we have one additional line, horizontal line marking over there. Normally one horizontal line means the ground, but here it's not exactly at the bottom of the frame. So I would interpret this horizontal line not as the ground, because the person trying to escape apparently above ground, or I mean, it's like James Bond may swim under the bridge or tunnel or something going underground. Don't speculate too many different scenarios of how to escape. But this horizontal line apparently is not at the very bottom of the frame, so it's not ground meaning. Here is more like an indicator to show that person trying to escape and then blocked or encounter a barrier, and that encounter was a sudden encounter, and together that means all of a sudden this sense of trying to escape quietly disappear, right? So kind of sneaky, and then meet a barrier, so it's kind of a sudden stop. And that paired with bamboozing actually means this bamboo mat placed on top of the beam. So we have to picture a little of ancient architecture, that's wooden structure. So between the roof and the room, it was beam hold up the roof, right? And to make inside the room more, I guess it's ancient times home deco or finishing of the room by placing the bamboo barrier, kind of a narrow mattress between the top of the beam and the roof. So together, this 则 character means that particular purpose bamboo mat. And that mat inferred to be within a narrow space, under the roof, but above the beam of the house. Okay, in short, contemporary Chinese, I suspect this could be interpreted in two ways. It could either be a cave, which then would be a slightly departure from our shelter sequence of this mian, right? This cover shelter with a chimney image, because we have now new elements and make it into a cave symbol. I'm imagining these two dots were used to replace these bamboo symbols, because then these are many more strokes, takes longer time to write. So eventually somebody decided to simplify it by just two dots, and keep this image of this narrow space mat, bamboo mat, and that under the roof. So I think both wide is the room that can host a longhorned goat, a mountain goat, versus here, the room kind of focus your attention on this bamboo mat. So both were using the spatial sense measured by human living quarters, this shelter. Either put a goat in that signify it's wide enough for the goat to move around, or use this bamboo mat that's narrow spaced between beam and roof. So two ways to use our human living quarters, and I guess that's everyday encounter for the language users to be able to associate. So here we go. Narrow. Examples, 冤家路子zhǎi. Okay, 冤家 means your enemy. Not exactly your military sense enemy, but somebody who you don't align with, who maybe competitors or somebody who you just don't vibe with. And 路窄, the road narrow for you, means people who you don't want to encounter in your life, people you don't like, keeps showing up as if the road is too narrow, that you got to meet each other again. So that's called the 冤家路窄. It's I guess a phenomenon observed and preserved in this expression to show that the more you like to avoid somebody somebody, that person is more likely to show up. It could be a bias there because of the preset intention you have to try to avoid that. And even if it's average frequency of this 冤家, somebody you don't like, show up the same as somebody you like, but because it's such a dislike, so every encounter kind of weighted more. That's my guess. But Chinese do have this observation of whoever you don't like, you seems to meet that person on this narrow road a lot. Okay, 心胸狭窄, we used heart and 胸, the chest, to mean your mindset or your framework. 狭窄. 狭 is another, I haven't covered that part yet. It seems like comes with an animal symbol to signify another way to express narrow. So it's a kind of a narrow expressed in another way. So 心胸狭窄, it's simply narrow-minded. Means you tend to hold grudges, which unnecessarily kind of burden down yourself. So a lot of things you don't like, and that keeps accumulating inside you. So that's 心胸狭窄. 手头窄, Chinese use 手头, hand, 头, head. So with between your hand and your head, that's your financial handling. So it's personal financing. When we say 手头, that means how much spending power you have in preserve, like the wealth accumulated so far, or the discretionary spending you have. And 窄 means narrow, means not much reserve. Usually people use 手头窄 to tell their friends, sorry, I have a low budget right now. I don't have much to spend, so cannot help you, cannot loan you money at this moment. So that's the context to use. So 窄, you can see we can use that as a physical or spatial sense of narrow, or the mind narrow. English too, right? Narrow-minded, very comparable. And here, additional financially, we don't have too much emergency fund in reserve, so we use 窄, the same, this narrow band. So it's quite a versatile word. And here is the 窄 visually, spatially. Thank you for your time. See you another day.